This is Mayor Chris Bollwage, and welcome to another edition of Our City. Keep in mind that the City of Elizabeth and the County of Union are still giving out vaccines, and plenty are available. You can check ucnj.org/vax or ucnjvaccine.org. Click on Union County or the Peterstown Community Center or the Stephen Sampson Center, or just call 908-820-4250 for a schedule. Peterstown is open on Tuesdays from 1 to 7 p.m., Thursdays 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. The Sampson Center is open on Wednesdays 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and Saturdays 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And also we have 162 Elmora Avenue from Tuesday to Friday 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. You do not need an appointment. Walk-ins are welcome. However, masks are required. No food, drink, smoking, or chewing gum 30 minutes prior. A photo ID is required. Anyone under the age of 18 must be accompanied by an adult. As always, insurance is not needed. However, if you do have coverage, please bring a copy of your insurance card. Any children will need a copy of their birth certificate or a parent or guardian to sign a consent form on the day of the appointment at the center. It's extremely important that we get vaccinated. Here in the City of Elizabeth, we are at 98% vaccinated. Please follow social distance rules, wear a mask or a face covering if you cannot socially separate by at least 6 feet. Wash your hands as frequently as possible. And this weekend, since the numbers have gone very low, we've had about 50 a day for the last 3 days. Restaurants and taverns and bars and liquor stores will all go back to their normal hours starting Thursday evening. And also, the mask mandate for the public, we're going to keep a mask mandate in place for those that are servers, bartenders, waitstaff, clerks at supermarkets. Anyone interacting with the public should wear a mask. The general public, as of Thursday, the mask mandate will go away. Hopefully, the numbers will stay low and it will be not necessary to come back. Now, February is an extremely important month, not only in our city, but throughout the nation. Many years ago, February was declared as Black History Month throughout our country. And here in the City of Elizabeth, Councilwoman Patricia Perkins-Auguste every February has spearheaded events, not only in the Black community or the African American community, but for the community as a whole, that we all understand each other. And here today, I'm pleased to be joined by Councilwoman Patricia Perkins-Auguste, who has led the efforts in making sure that Black History Month is in the forefront of Elizabeth residents throughout our community. Councilwoman, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mayor. Good to be here.
I like the African garb. I should have worn an African tie today, and I didn't. But I will wear it during the flag raising.
Thank you.
So first of all, Councilwoman, tell us about yourself. You've been on council now. We've been running mates. We're the last two of the Mohicans, as they say. Tell us about yourself and your activities over the years you've been involved.
Okay, briefly, this is only a 30-minute stretch, right?
Well, we know how whenever you say briefly.
Briefly, this is my beginning of my 30th year on the Elizabeth City Council, and the last 15 years, the only female. My parents, my grandparents migrated to Elizabeth from the South. My mother's mother and father, they migrated from North Carolina, LaGrange, North Carolina. And my father's mothers and father, they migrated from the South Carolina, the Crenshaw, Bishopville area. So my mother was born in the city of Elizabeth, and my mother is now currently 84 years old. So I truly am an Elizabethan, born here. All my sisters and brothers, we're all born here. And of course, went through the Elizabeth Public School system, blah, 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 went off to Boston University, came back, finished up at Rutgers University. Voila, always had a strong inkling to give back to the community, to work with people, just to make people's lives better. Been involved in the NAACP for a very long time. I switched over to the NAACP, but been involved into the NAACP for a very long time, and that's where you and I met. You were councilman of the 5th Ward, and I was NAACP president at the time. So my workings and love for the city has been very strong. I helped the city of Perth Amboy. I was the I guess interim business administrator. We did some wonderful things over there in a 5-month period. So I believe in using government to solve local issues for communities. Government can enhance people's lives. It can give them direction, not only on the punitive side, but also to, further be about the laws. I love the law in terms of that's why everyone come to America, because of its laws and its judicial system and the system of fairness and play, if you want to say. But I mean, it's so much I can say about who I am. I'm a mother of 2 sons. They both young adults, males. And so that's very important to me, given the climate that this country is still in as it pertains to young African-American boys, brown and Black boys. So I have to really rear them first up in family, in church, and in the community. So that's where I'm at.
Well, Councilwoman, thank you. Thank you for all of your efforts, not only with the NAACP through the years, but also, as you always remind me, the only female in City Council for the last 15 years. But you forget to say that when you joined the City Council, there were three members on the City Council.
There were.
Three females.
That is correct. Right, that is correct. There were 2 actually, one from the 2nd Ward and one from the 4th Ward, and I came on, I made the 3rd member. And then my good friend Carla Mazza became a member of the City Council for the 2nd Ward, so there were still 3. And then after that, after rotation and elections, I seemed to be the lone one standing, not by myself, because you're a good guy. So it's good. It's good to have good guys along the ladies who are trying to get things done.
So, Councilwoman, as I did in the introduction, February is Black History Month, not only in our city, but throughout the nation. And you have been the leader in making sure we celebrate Black history in our community. What is the significance of Black History Month in the month of February, not only to you as an African-American woman, but to society in general?
Society in general is most important. Black History Month started, I believe, in like 1926. It was just a week. And it was with Carter G. Woodson after celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, which took place in 1865 in terms of the Juneteenth movement was a whole different movement. He thought it would be wise as a historian, as a well-educated African-American man, to start African-American, well, at that time it was Negro History Week. It was simply 1 week, and it was just to highlight the importance of African-Americans, of their emancipation here in America. And he picked February because of 2 reasons. Frederick Douglass celebrates his birthday in February, and also President Lincoln, who at the time was given the credit of freeing, quote unquote, the African-American residents here in America. But in 1976, interestingly enough, President Gerald Ford, who was also, by the way, a Republican president, realized the importance of the African-American citizens, and said from that point on, from 1776, that the nation will officially celebrate African-American History Month or Black History Month the entire month of February. he realized all the important contributes African Americans have given to the U.S. From every, you can name it, a street light, blood plasma. You could just name all the inventions that has come about because of Africans being in America. President Ford said, listen, these citizens have really given a lot. They built the Capitol, they built Washington, they built major parts of Wall Street. They did so much. Let's recognize them for the entire month. So that's why we have the entire month now, which from 1976. And it's also strangely enough that 1776, it was 200 years after the quote unquote Declaration of Independence. So it all ties in historically. I don't know if people realize they be making history when they do certain things, but it definitely ties in historically for me, the dates when Black History Month or African American History Month came into being.
Councilwoman, you spoke about Gerald Ford and Black History Month during the month of February. You were a young girl at that time. I don't mean to date you. However, what was your experience as a young girl growing up and learning about Black history? Because clearly it's not really taught in schools, and it's come somewhat in the last 50 years. But as a young girl, what were your thoughts about Black History Month?
Well, as a young person during that time, growing up in Elizabeth on Reed Street, I had a very rich culturally, a little bit culturally diverse because we lived near. There was a lot of Irish residents that lived in that area, along with the African Americans, and we had a very warm, very enriched community when we grew up. So there were teachers across the street, there were nurses in the community. And one of our teachers, my teacher, well, she wasn't actually my teacher, but a teacher was Miss Chessie Roberts. So she lived across the street from me. So she made sure that all the children in the neighborhood knew something about who they were. She attended Mount Teman AME Church, which is very proactive in providing programs for young people. So a lot of times I would go to those programs myself, some of my brothers, my sisters, we would attend those programs that were free to the community that talked about the advancement of African Americans and what they have done, done for the city. Mr. Steve Sampson's barbershop was right on the corner where I lived between Reed and East. That were there that really taught me what it meant to be African American, taught me the human side of people in general, that all people, matter of their color, their skin, they are good in everyone. So they taught us that, and I was like right there in that community.
Councilman, I want to interrupt you since you mentioned Chessie Roberts. We now have a school named after Chessie Roberts. We now have a school named after Chessie Roberts.
Yes, that is correct. The Elizabeth Board of Education named the school after Chessie Roberts, and it was great because she had to go to court to teach in Elizabeth, to teach business in Elizabeth. When in the African American teachers, professionals came to teach in Elizabeth at that time, they were told they can only teach special education. And she was like, no, I want to teach business. And so she literally had to petition the court to allow her to teach the business classes, and that's what she did. So I'm grateful that my city recognized her and the Board of Education recognized her as a pioneer for equality for women, for African Americans, for equality for professionals.
And educating
it's a good thing.
And educating our young people about the history in the African American community.
The young people in history?
Well, no, Chessie Roberts also educated many young people about African American history in our community.
Oh, yes, she did. She still is a wealth of information. She still is. She still, even in her 90s, um, you know, lends her expertise, lends her advice and guidance to African American students, teachers, professionals. And like I said, she still lives on Reed Street in the same home. So it's people like her help someone like myself who there is no African American classes really taught in the books. I remember just one brief line about Crispus Attucks. Okay, we always talk about Crispus Attucks because he was the first person to say, you know, the British are coming, and they were Paul Revere, that whole incident. And slaves, like they showed like slaves coming to America. Other than that, I don't recall anything being taught formal in the public school system in Elizabeth, and not to therefore. It's just that it wasn't taught in any public school in the state or in the country.
Councilwoman, tell us about February 1st here in the city of Elizabeth, the importance of raising the African American Unity flag.
The African American flag raising ceremony is extremely important. Um, and I thought about that in terms of other ethnic groups. Elizabeth is a very diverse city, and that's some of the things that I love about it. And flag, when it comes to the flag raising, like there's a raising of the Portugal flag, and there's a raising of the Cuban flag and the Puerto Rican flag. But particularly the African American flag says it in and of itself. That is, it's two people, two societies coming together as one. You have the African, like I'm an African, but I'm born in America. And then you have other flags that just speaks of one country, Portugal, the Cuban, Ecuadorian. They never, it doesn't tag on America, meaning that African American history is really truly American history. And they really cannot be the America we see today without the total involvement and participation of the early African Americans who have come, who were taken out of their royalty status. Some of them were kings, they were queens, they owned land, they did this, they did that, brought to America in servitude, but still somehow gave its genius to America.
So
and so many inventions.
On that note, Councilwoman, the theme for this month is health and wellness. Can you talk about the theme for Black History Month this year?
Yeah, health and wellness is always it's extremely important to everyone. Health and wellness is not a African thing. It's not a Black thing. It's not a white thing. It's something that every human being should embrace. Health and wellness. The theme that I would probably give African American History Month of 2022 is that the struggle still continues. All the gains that the civil rights leaders and workers and volunteers did in the late 50s and 60s are being challenged in the highest court of the land again. So we have to reconnect and understand that the struggle still continues. Mayor, one year we had David Du Bois, Dr. David Du Bois, who was the son of W.E.B.D. Du Bois, who said to the audience, unfortunately, the race struggle in America continues. We need to advocate for the abolishment of the race struggle daily, meaning that we have to keep this up every day. And it all begins with people's heart. Everyone is human. So health and wellness, definitely. The health and wellness of African Americans have been marginalized. They receive the poorest health. There is no trust in the health industry because of past practices by the government and also by the healthcare industry. So it is extremely something, and the whole notion of gun violence is a part of a health situation. You know, it's a part. Someone is saying that post-traumatic slave syndrome is still very real in some African Americans' minds today. So we have to deal with the mental issues. Mental issues and African Americans are taboo. People don't want to talk about it. They don't want to get treatment. So all of that is health and wellness. Wellness is how you think, how you feel. Health is, you know, if you're suffering from diabetes or cancer or liver problems. But the wellness is how you think, how you feel. Do you exercise yourself? Oh yeah, those are definitely important.
Councilwoman, we're just about out of time. We did 30 minutes. I want to thank you. I look forward to joining you. I look forward to joining you at the flag raising and the proclamation signing and other events during Black History Month. Thank you for all of your help.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
For Councilwoman Patricia Perkins-Auguste, this is Mayor Chris Bollwage. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City. And let's all celebrate Black History Month together.